Hey, welcome everybody to the University of Maryland webinar for the Harvest Carillon community. This webinar is being recorded. My name is Lars Olson. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a professor and the director of undergraduate studies in the Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics, and I'm the faculty fellow for the Harvest Carillon community. This is our agenda for the webinar. My research focuses on natural resource and environmental economics, and it examines the economics of managing water, fisheries, forests, and environmental quality. My undergraduate education was at Eckerd College, a small college in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I did a double major in economics and mathematics. I earned a PhD in economics from Cornell University. For 7 years, I was a faculty member at the Environmental Science Department at the University of California, Riverside, which is a broad interdisciplinary department with faculty whose expertise range from microbiology to soil physics to atmospheric chemistry. I've been at Maryland since 1993, and I'm very passionate about innovating and improving the undergraduate educational experience. I served as chair of the Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics for 6 years. I was the founding director of the Interdisciplinary Global Poverty minor on campus. I'm the founding faculty of the Sustainability Analytics first year innovation and research experience. And I previously taught my Carillon community course as a lead faculty fellow in university honors. My Carillon course is Harvesting Big Data to Examine Agriculture and Climate Change. Satisfies 2 university general education requirements, the I-Series requirement and scholarship in practice. The big question we will examine in this course is, how is climate change impacting agriculture and its ability to feed a growing world population? In this course, you will learn about the complex relationships between climate change and agriculture. You will acquire basic data science skills used to organize, summarize, analyze, and visualize data. You will build reproducible workflows that exemplify best practices in scientific research, and you will develop strategies for communicating data analysis to a non-technical decision-making audience. So why should you join this community? Data literacy is fast becoming an essential skill. Data skills are 3 of the top 5 fastest growing skills valued by firms. Data scientist has been listed as one of the top 3 jobs in the US in each of the last 5 years. In this course, you will work in teams similar to the way that many firms organize their employees. Second, climate change has become one of the grand challenges facing society. Food security is a basic human need, and I think everybody understands that climate affects food production. There's excellent scientific data on the relationship between climate and agriculture, but there are still many unanswered questions. So this means there are excellent opportunities for team-based research from which you will learn by doing, working with state-of-the-art scientific data. Finally, Carillon communities are designed to provide a small college environment within the context of a large university like the University of Maryland. In the Harvest community, you will engage in interdisciplinary teamwork and original research. You will develop skills in data analysis and learn how to code in R, but no prior coding experience is required or expected. And the community is open to students from all backgrounds and disciplines. Learning to code is like learning a language. There's a vocabulary, a grammar, and a syntax. Everyone can learn a language, and I believe that everyone can learn to code. In this course, you will also improve your ability to use data to communicate to a variety of audiences in a variety of formats. These are all skills that can enhance your academic and career opportunities, no matter what discipline you are in and what your career goals are. Becoming data literate gives you the power to transform thousands of pieces of information into useful understanding. Here we see an example where 5 lines of code have been used to transform 26,000 rows of storm data into maps of storm tracks by decade that are much easier to understand and visualize. In this community, you will learn in a state-of-the-art facility for team-based learning in the Edward St. John Learning Center on campus. You will work in small teams of 6 students with scientific research data using technology and platforms designed to promote teamwork and collaboration and enhance your productivity. The picture on the lower left shows my classroom from this past fall. Your teams will work in parallel, exploring and analyzing subsets of data selected by each team. We will synthesize learning so the entire class benefits from the combined work of all teams. We will start with the basics and build your skills in working with data, in analytics, and in visualization. Learning is scaffolded so that you become more independent as you acquire more skills. On this slide, on the left and right, you'll see some examples of visualizations produced by student teams in previous years. The Harvest community engages you in 3 kinds of scholarships. Through much of your education, you have been a consumer of knowledge. In this course, you will transition from consuming knowledge into producing knowledge. And you will enhance your ability to use data to communicate to different audiences in verbal, written, and visual formats. A living learning community like Harvest actively engages you in working and learning with your peers. This helps you make connections that will last throughout college and beyond. The Harvest community is one where you will get out of it what you put into it. You will learn better from teaching others, and the community as a whole will be bigger and better than the sum of its parts. I sincerely hope that all of you will decide to join the University of Maryland Harvest community this fall. Thank you, and now I'll turn it over to Josh, who is a previous Carillon community student, and he'll give you a student perspective.
Can you just switch to the next slide, please? Thank you. Hi, I'm Josh Cohn. I'm a government and politics major. I'm a freshman, so I was in Carillon last fall. And the community I was in was called Digital Media and Law. Basically, we kind of applied, laws, legal precedent to the online world. The reason I chose that was because most of what we do is online, and it was interesting to see how things from hundreds of years ago, a Constitution, Bill of Rights, applied to the internet today. My favorite moment was when we took a trip to DC together. We visited the National Archives. We got to see the Constitution. We got to, go together as a class. That was really fun. And then my biggest takeaway from the course is that there isn't much legal precedent or regulation online yet. So it's important to have our own ethical code for the internet. And then just my general experience in the class in Carillon is that the living learning aspect was great. Basically, you're taking a class with the same people that you're living with. So it makes a really big school feel a lot smaller. It's a group of people you may be able to go to meals with, hang out with. And it was really helpful for me in transitioning to college.
Okay, thank you. So now we'll open it up for Q&A.
Professor Olson, while we wait for one of our students and families to type some questions into the Q&A here within kind of the Zoom screen, I wonder if you could share a bit more about some of the projects that students in this community worked on kind of last fall. What kind of data were they looking at? What kinds of conclusions were students able to draw?
Yeah, so throughout the semester, we work with state-of-the-art scientific research data. So students in this class are provided data from USDA, from National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, from NASA, from European Space Agency, from the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, from the UK Climatic Research Unit, from the Spanish Scientific Research Council. And so all the data is housed on a cloud storage space for the course. And so students have access to the data both from within the classroom and wherever they have an internet connection. And so the way the course is set up, it's divided into modules that are designed to teach students concepts in data science, but at the same time, allow them to engage in original exploratory research of the data that's provided to the class. And so a typical class will begin with kind of the concept or question that we're going to examine for that class or for that module. And I'll go through an example to illustrate the kinds of analysis that we'll be doing to basically guide through students through some of the coding steps, and then turn things over to the class, and each team selects a subset of the data. So we have 10 teams. There will be 10 different subsets of the data that the teams are working with, and they spend the class analyzing the data to try and answer the question for that module. And while they're doing that, they're simultaneously learning the skills in data science that we're exploring at that time in the class. And then at the end, we'll come back and synthesize learning from all the teams. And so, we can, with 10 teams, we can do 10 times as much as what I could do if I was just lecturing on a single topic.
We do have a question from a student to apply to Maryland as a computer science major, but has been accepted instead into letters and sciences kind of for now. And for this student, computer science is one of the limited enrollment programs at UMD. So you'll have an opportunity to apply after taking some courses to be accepted into computer science. But I wonder, Professor Olson, if you might say something about the value of your course for computer science intending students. You mentioned that no coding experience is required. So this is certainly open to any and all students, but would this be an especially good community for students who are interested in computer science?
Yeah, my experience teaching this class in university honors was that this course was a lot of students in computer science were interested in this course. So first of all, the platforms that we use in this course are not the typical platforms that you're going to use in the computer science major. So you're going to learn how to code in R, and we'll use RStudio as the integrated development environment. And so you'll be learning some additional platforms that you won't necessarily get exposed to in the computer science major. You're going to learn skills in data science that are going to complement what you do in computer science. But one of the things that I like about this class is having a mix of students with different levels of expertise. Students who have no coding experience, and then students who are computer science majors that may have had a lot of prior coding experience, but in my experience, almost nobody that's taken my class has prior experience in R. And so, I found that, peer-based learning or students teaching each other is one of the most effective ways for students to learn, both the students that are being taught and the students that are doing the teaching. It's one of the most effective ways for students to learn. And so having students with a little bit more expertise in computer programming or coding helps facilitate that peer-based learning, and they can teach students in their teams who have less experience in coding, especially in the beginning of the course where we're trying to get everybody kind of on the same page, provide a common foundation for everybody in the class it's really helpful to have a mix of students like this, and that's one of the things that makes the class more than the sum of its parts. Yeah, that's a really good question.
I wondered, Josh, I know that you participated in a different Carillon community this year, but something that's central to all of our communities is teamwork. And I wonder if you could share something about your experience working with a team of your peers in your community.
Yeah, so a lot of our course was centered around teamwork, in which it's really helpful to hear people with different perspectives, come from different areas, have experienced different things. Our course is about digital media law, so some people use use the internet in different ways. Some people post things more, some people more just observe, read things. So it's kind of interesting to hear different people's perspectives. Sometimes it was different than mine, but could change my mind about things. But it's really important to hear from different people, work with different people. And I've definitely heard from people in all the communities that teamwork is a pretty big part of all the courses.
And let me just add, in my course, students are working in teams throughout the semester. So I'll spend maybe 1 week where I kind of get students acclimated to what we're going to do in the class, and then we divide into teams, and you're working in your teams throughout the rest of the semester. And a lot of class time is spent in teamwork. Every class, you're doing teamwork. And so this is a class that was designed around teamwork. And in fact, I designed this class specifically for the facility that we're in to take advantage of the technological capabilities of that particular room. So it's one of the best teaching classrooms on campus. And I'm really happy to be able to offer this course to students in that room.
Professor Olson, you showed us a picture of that classroom. Can you say a bit more about what makes it so special? And especially for your course, what value it adds to teamwork?
Yeah, well, it's designed for students to work in teams. So if you give me just a second, I guess I'm still screen sharing. I'll just go back to that picture. So you can see, it's easier to see maybe in the upper right, but there are these stations around the perimeter of the room where there are tables. Each table is set up to hold a maximum of 6 students. There's 10 stations around the room. And that's the way my course is set up, 10 teams of 6. So each table is a team, basically. Each station has a large screen monitor for that station with a PC attached, and from the teacher's console, I can turn control over the monitors at each and computers at each station over to the teams. So, typically at the beginning of a class, I'll control the monitors, and that way everybody can see what we're going to do for the day, and I can work through some examples and stuff, show them what we're going to do, and then I'll turn things over to the team, and they can work independently. Typically the teams, everybody will have their laptop there, but one student on the team will be controlling the team monitor, and so everybody can see then what the team is working on. It's a really nice facility for the kind of work that I have the students do in the class.
I have another question for Josh. As you know, the Carillon experience consists of 2 courses. So our community course, like Harvest, as well as IDEA 101, the Carillon Studio course, which also builds skills of teamwork and creative problem solving. I wonder, Josh, if you could share a bit about your experience in IDEA 101 and what that course has added to your time at UMD.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that course. It was a pretty, kind of low pressure environment, but we learned a lot. One of my favorite things was making a My Maryland plan, where basically we went through different classes, different potential extracurriculars, talked with different faculty, did some interviews, kind of figured out the different possibilities there are at Maryland for kind of where we want to go in our time here. And also there's a good amount of teamwork in that class as well. Um, so we could kind of hear different perspectives on things similar to before. I mentioned we talked to faculty. That was a really nice class we had, where basically we separated off into different groups, and it was like 5 or 6 people with one faculty member. They really went into their experience in their education, their career, how they got to where they are. So it's really cool to hear um about kind of someone who's been through it. Yep.
Yes, Josh, maybe just one more question for you. Is there anything else that you'd like to highlight about your Carillon experience or even about your first year at Maryland that might be helpful for prospective students?
Yeah, one thing I will say is that I coming into the program, and some other people I've heard, a common question is like, oh, will you have time to do other things outside of Caroline community? Or is that like are those the only people you can be with? And to that, I would say definitely not. It's kind of an enhancement on your experience, not, it doesn't become your experience. I'm part of multiple clubs, organizations, and Caroline kind of just added to it, where I could have some more friends and people I live with, also have the classes with, and the classes were really interesting, and they also filled certain credit. So it's not like it slowed me down in terms of my track to like get a degree, things like that.
Yeah, and let me just add to that. I think college offers amazing experiences, and I really encourage students to take advantage of all those experiences. Once you leave college, you don't get that opportunity again, and you really want to maximize your experiences. Take advantage of the clubs, take advantage of all the educational opportunities, take advantage of being able to go root for your favorite teams. The fitness center on campus is an amazing facility. Being close to DC, we're just a short metro ride away from DC, and you can see it'll be like the picture in my background in just a couple of weeks here. For those of you that are out of state, may not have seen this before. You really, all the museums down at the Smithsonian, take advantage of everything that college offers you.
For sure, and I'll just say we're about to announce a Carillon trip to see a Nationals baseball game at the end of April. So we're super excited to take students to see baseball locally, and we'll also be inviting our faculty and staff. Maybe just one final question for you, Professor Olson. We're super excited within Carillon to have you kind of teach with us this year for the first time and to bring this amazing class to Carillon. I wonder if you would just say something about why it's important, for you to teach this kind of course to first-year students, and why this particular population is meaningful to you as an educator, as faculty.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with my background. My father was an English professor, and he was involved in developing English curriculum for K through 12 students. And then, I've been exposed to so many kind of diverse educational experiences myself, from a small college that was smaller than my high school, to a major research university where I got my PhD, and then in a very interdisciplinary department where I started my career. And so that's kind of helped mold my view of undergraduate education. And I think that, we can provide amazing opportunities for undergraduates. And I think sometimes, we assume there's only one way to teach. And my experience is that's not true. And we can really challenge students, bring out the best in them. And that's what this course tries to do. Even freshmen, I think they can do amazing things. And we just have to provide them the opportunity to do that.
Thanks so much. I see one more question. Oh, Josh, did you want to say something more?
Yeah, I see the question. So there are 60 students in this program in the Harvest community, and that's basically because that's the capacity of the room that the course is offered in.
I would just add Carolina as a whole is growing this year. So we have just under 300 students in our community this year. Next year, we expect to expand to just over 400 students. So we are growing and adding new communities like Harvest, because there has been so much demand, so much interest from students in becoming a part of Carillon. Professor Olson, can you just move to the last two slides of our presentation? I have just a couple of reminders for you. We had our first, the University of Maryland had its first admitted student open house last Friday. We have three others. March 31st and April 10th are in person. April 21st is virtual. We hope to meet you at one of these open houses. If you can't come to Maryland on one of those dates, but are planning a trip at a different time, it's very likely that we can meet you. We might be able to give you an introduction to one of our student ambassadors. You might be able to see one of the Carillon dorms. So please do reach out if you're coming on a date that isn't an admitted student open house. We'd love to meet you and to connect you with one of our current students. And then just the reminders, do confirm your enrollment at UMD by May 1st, and also submit your housing and dining agreement by that same deadline. And then to our final slide, as always, you can reach out to us at our email address, carillon@umd.edu. You can call us and you can reach out to us via social media. That's all we have for tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Professor Olson. Thank you, Josh, for talking about your course and your experience with Carillon.
Yeah, and thank you, and thank everybody for attending, and I really hope to see you in the fall.